Welcome to Inside Startup Investing, the only podcast where you can invest in every guest. On this episode, I will be speaking with the founder and CEO of Solgaard, Adrian Solgaard. As a reminder, if you like what you hear on today's episode, you can invest in Solgaard on Dealmaker, regardless of whether or not you are accredited, with a minimum investment of $1,000 until June 11th, 2026. All right. So if you're like me, you've probably found yourself on a work trip or personal trip trying to find what you need out of your suitcase and inevitably making a mess, and more importantly, ending up with wrinkled clothes that need ironing. All in all, the suitcase, while a long-standing item, hasn't actually experienced all that much innovation in the last 50 years. So what happens when a passionate traveler with an eye for design decides to reinvent luggage to be design forward, organized, and compact? You get Solgaard, a luggage company now generating $50 million in yearly sales, with plans to launch more products and channels in the years to come, as it grows its part of the multi-billion-dollar luggage category pie. Solgaard is the luggage as swell water bottles were to water bottles. These are companies that come to sleepy markets and rejuvenate and grow them with a suite of products that excite a whole new base of customers that were tired of the same old, same old. I think that's pretty cool. I remember working in private equity and seeing all these PE shops wanting to chase the water bottle category because of the explosive growth in the category caused by the swell company. I think Solgaard is very akin to this and has great prospects because of it. Now, I will admit, I came in skeptical to learn about Solgaard for one specific reason. If you have ever heard of Away, this is a design-forward luggage company too that raised tens of millions of dollars from VCs, that had some bad PR come out, a founder falling out, and now all is quiet on the Western Front from that group. But if you know me, I take issue with VCs even being in categories like this, where the market isn't big enough for them to get their return, which causes all sorts of issues, including a travel company like Away building an unsustainable business model where they were actually trying to outspend all their competitors. But Solgaard is different. Backed by its customers from the start and no VCs, Adrian has built a sustainable business that, from my perspective, is fairly valued and on a bullish trajectory, all with a business model that actually works. I was so impressed by our discussion and left wanting to be a customer and investor, truly. So with that, let's see if you feel the same way and get on to the show to welcome Adrian. For those who don't know you, Adrian, give us a little bit of background on yourself and how you came to found Solgaard.
So yeah, I'm Adrian Solgaard. I started Solgaard almost 10 years ago. We launched via Kickstarter with a solar-powered anti-theft backpack, raised $600K on Kickstarter, and then another $600K on Indiegogo, and then we continued to run more Kickstarter campaigns throughout the years. So we've used crowdfunding to build this business from day one. We did a crowdfunding equity campaign in 2020, raising $950K from, I think it was 877 investors. And now we're doing a new crowdfunding equity raise as we continue to scale the company. Grown from, zero, of course, when getting started, to 50 million in annual revenue, and excited about where we're going. We've started out with this idea of how can we make travel products that make travel easier while having a lighter footprint, making products that are made sustainably and giving back to the planet. So what we do is we use ocean-bound plastic to make our fabric, which we call ShoreTex. And for every item sold, we fund the cleanup of 6 pounds of plastic from beaches, rivers, and mangroves, cleaning up in Indonesia and Southeast Asia.
Very, very cool. Now, you started this company, you kind of mentioned the solar backpacks. Now I feel like kind of your forward-facing product that everyone knows is your luggage product. But talk to me about the evolution of your product line and what are your core products right now?
Yeah, so we started out with this solar-powered backpack, like you said. That came with a solar-powered Bluetooth speaker that also has a power bank inside of it. I always found that my speaker was dying when I was traveling. My speaker would die before my phone or vice versa. So I wanted to make a speaker that you could charge your phone from or charge your friend's phone from when you meet up after work or at the beach or the park. So that was kind of where we got started. And then, we evolved into luggage, like you said. And our hero product today is this, which we call the carry-on closet. It's a suitcase with a built-in closet system inside. So I got a little bit off to it from this angle, but so there's a closet inside so you can organize all your clothes. That's a fully removable feature. You don't even have to use it, but it's so we make Great quality luggage that has this aluminum frame around the edge. There's no zippers, don't have to fight with any of that. Lightweight, super durable, and we try to make things priced at a reasonable price point.
I know that in recent years, there's been kind of this wave of new luggage companies that kind of have better fashion forward, types of products, right? Like Away, like yourself. And it's a really interesting space. So tell me about kind of like the evolution of luggage and why this has become a movement and what it is exactly that's like winning over customers. What's at the crux of it?
I don't know how much I can speak for other brands, but for us, I just found that after I've lived in 9 countries, I speak 5 languages, I've kind of been all over, and I'm not an organized person, and my camera is not showing my desk for a very good reason, because it's chaos. When I travel, you're traveling with a limited amount of stuff, so you're actually able to be organized and tidy if you create a system for it. And so the goal with making luggage that makes travel easier came from this place of like, when you're on the go, every minute counts. And so if you can save time checking out of hotels, switching hotels when you're on these trips that are 1 day here, 2 nights here, 1 day here, like that sort of quick turn, you don't want to spend 20 minutes packing every single day. So making that time-saving piece there was a really big driver for us. And I think that generally luggage historically was something that, it used to be something for the elite when, you had porters carrying your stuff onto your horse carriages. But the humble bag is probably one of humankind's first inventions. We're nomadic as people since day one. So I think carrying your stuff around was always something that needed to happen. And I think for D2C, it makes a lot of sense because retail stores, luggage is physically large. It's hard to have a ton of luggage in a retail store. So having any color you want at a warehouse that gets shipped to your house, I think that's one of the reasons why it's a strong category in D2C. And also just a lot of other luggage options are really boring.
$50 million in sales is certainly nothing to slouch at. That's very significant. Not knowing a ton about kind of the luggage category, can you tell us, how large kind of annual sales are in the space overall? And when you think about kind of growing into this market further, what are the opportunities for growth?
So if you look at the largest luggage company, which is Samsonite, they're a publicly traded company. It's easy to see what their math is. They're around $3 and a bit billion in revenue. They're roughly 20% of the market. They're not the full market. In a lot of other categories, you'll have a market leader that has 40% or 60% of market share, but Samsonite's only roughly 20. So it's a fairly fragmented market in that way, which means there's room for a lot of other players in different price points. I think that a single standalone brand selling purely just luggage, reaching upwards of 500, close towards $1 billion, I think is totally doable. But I think that, as you continue to add on more products, backpacks, day packs, office bags, there's room for that to grow even more. So we've said on our crowdfunding equity page, our goal is to get to 200 million in revenue and within 5 years is the target, which I think there's room for upside beyond that. I tried to go with reasonable claims that we can beat, not going with audacious claims that are not achievable.
When you think about kind of areas that you think your own customers would be really interested in knowing who they are, what do you think some of those near-term expansion categories could be for you?
So within luggage, there's a few new luggage options that we are working on right now that combine this concept of organized travel. So there's more room for us to grow in that category, both in different price points, some up, maybe one thing that's a little bit cheaper, but mostly further up market. And then work bags for how you live your life on the go. The first backpack that we made called Life Pack, which we launched on Kickstarter 10 years ago, it had this concept of work zone and life zone. We still do that in all of our bags now, for all of our big travel bags, where you've got the one section for all your work stuff. So your laptop goes in here, tablet, keys, and then this is your life zone for all your personal stuff. Because once I was at a meeting in BMW's headquarters in Germany, and I pulled my laptop out of my shoulder bag, and yesterday's sock fell onto the table at the same moment, and I just, this sucks. I never want this to happen again. I'm sure it's happened to someone else before, but not an experience you want to replicate. So keeping your work stuff and your personal stuff separate for people who are living this hybrid life of some work, business and pleasure at the same time. Having those like separations are really useful. So yeah, there's some expansion within the luggage category. There's a bunch of expansion in the bags category. I think that there's some really exciting opportunities in women's work bags as well. Because most women's work bags, or most bags that women carry to work, are not actually designed for the workplace. It's just a big, it's a nice tote. It's a, luxury bag or whatever. They just throw their stuff in there. There's no organization. So I think that this utility-led, design-driven, sustainably made sort of basis that we have for our products, there's a lot of room for us to play.
One challenge that I've seen with D2C brands is the cost of acquisition, right? Of getting new customers through the door. And eventually it seems like all of them end up falling into retail, whether it's selling through, the Macy's and Nordstroms of the world, or opening up their own storefronts. What do you think about the role of retail distribution in your business?
We have been in some retailers in the past, and we're looking at it again now. There's definitely a place for it. With Saks going bankrupt and not paying half their vendors, or most of their vendors, there are certain things you want to avoid there. But I think that having discoverability of a product, seeing a product in person, being able to compare it to competition, I think that that's one of the big wins for multi-brand retail, where you can go and compare our product to the competitors' products, and you can then see like, that actually makes it a pretty easy decision when you can compare it in person like that. Whereas if you have direct owned retail where all you're seeing is that one brand, you're not comping it to the other things right there and then. So I think there's a benefit there, but it's something to proceed a little bit with caution, just given some of the payment issues in the last couple of years.
When you do look at customer acquisition that's worked really well for you in the D2C space, what does that look like? Is it, Facebook and Meta ads? Is it something else?
Yeah, Meta ads, Google ads. We've tested pretty much most of the paid ad channels. I think that there's a balance you need to strike between advertising, using your own voice to communicate to people, and using others' voices, or having other people speak about you. If it's only ever a one-way valve of the brand saying, we're the best, we're the best, we're the best, you can only trust that so much. So you can't go purely advertising driven. You need to have influencer and affiliate stacked in. You need to have this broader range of voices speaking. We've put a fair amount of effort into PR over the years, and I think we've had some wonderful features. We've won some amazing awards: Time Magazine Best Inventions, Fast Company World Changing Ideas. There's a couple of Red Dot Design Awards. That's a pretty long list there. That's one piece. Then influencers another piece, and yeah, advertising, other one altogether. It's interesting how you have to, per channel for advertising, you have to do a slightly different format per channel, because one channel is you're grabbing attention, you're not trying to keep it. One channel you have active attention, so you just need to manage that attention. It's interesting how creative that performs here does absolute trash here, and you need to find that balance.
There's so many challenges in running any business. You've been at this for a while. You've built a really serious business doing $50 million in revenue a year, and that's exciting in and of itself. But when you think about the thing that keeps you coming in every day, that makes you want to continue to build this luggage company day in and day out, even when the times get tough, when things go wrong, so on and so forth, what is it that keeps you here and keeps you going every day?
Are you familiar with the Japanese concept of ikigai?
No.
It's this 4-way Venn diagram of what are you good at? What does the world need? What can you be paid for? And what do you love? And I did that exercise when starting this company. And, I realized I love travel. I'm never going to get bored of that. I'm good at making products. Before this, I ran a company making bicycle locks, also launched on Kickstarter. The world needs sustainability. And what can I be paid for? Some of these product dimensions. So I put that all together. And so it's kind of like a 4-legged stool. If one day you're feeling bored about, or you're feeling, tired of this piece, you can lean on the other legs, or vice versa. You can kind of change it out. And so I think the one that I do most often lean on is the, doing good for the world. We've cleaned up over 3.5 million pounds of plastic from mangroves in the environment in mostly in Indonesia. And in the process, we've created, and this is in partnership with our nonprofit partners and through our nonprofit, the Solgaard Nix Foundation, we've created 65 or so full-time jobs over the last 3 years where people are paid a living wage, and they're cleaning up plastic from the environment, and they're avoiding plastic from ending up in the ocean and polluting the areas where these people are fishing and catching their food for the day. And so that's something that is always an energizing thing to lean back on.
I'm just curious, and this is certainly no knock or trying to have any negative angle on this. It's truly a curiosity about people and how they purchase. When you kind of look at like the purchase intent, why someone buys from you, is that sustainability piece and the like cleaning up the environment right at the top of the list? Or is it just like, hey, this is a really sexy, good looking bag. And it's like, oh, and that's nice. And, it feels good. It's a great thing. And there's so much value in it. Don't get me wrong. But is that a really key point in their purchase experience? Or is it just another piece of the equation?
Can I answer with an analogy?
Please.
Do you like milkshakes?
I do like milkshakes.
So to make the best milkshake, you've got to use great quality ice cream. You definitely need some whipped cream in there. You've got to have a great blender. You make the world's best milkshake. Then you add that whipped cream on top. And then the sustainability piece is kind of a cherry on top for people, where it's not the core reason that people buy the product. We'll tell people, if you have luggage that works, use that. And then when the most sustainable thing you can do is use the products that you have. But when you need a new product, then buy something that is made in the most sustainable way possible. And so the sustainability piece is something that that matters to some, but not to everyone. And that's where having our environmental impact efforts just around plastic cleanup, everyone agrees that, plastic clogging up waterways and clogging up beaches, that's bad. We're not trying to preach some high and mighty story about CO2 emissions and invisible things that are challenging to communicate. It's like, hey, we're cleaning up plastic from the beach. We're making communities cleaner for people. We're helping avoid people openly burning garbage, which leads to decline in children's health. There's lots of stuff there, but we just keep it a very simple story. It was always inspired by the Tom's shoe model of the 1 for 1, where you do, buy one pair of shoes, give one pair of shoes. There ended up being some complications with how that was all done in practice. And the Tom's story, the shoe was not exactly the best quality shoe. They're totally fine shoes, but our goal is to make, like an on-running type of version of the product, really great quality, high end, and have the sustainability component. So for us, it's no compromise on premium quality or sustainability. We want to do both.
I love that. No, I buy a pair of socks that I just think are the most comfortable socks, and they happen to also give a pair of socks, to homeless shelters. And I love that. I think, I think that's great. But I'm so in it because they're so comfortable. And then I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I love that you guys are doing that too, right?
And I think that's how you win. You win with a great product. And then if you have some extra give back component, cool. But you can't win with a terrible quality product that has a do-good effort. That'll be a flash in the pan that'll, fizzle out and die. And that's 100%. Also where, even for us, with making an amazing quality suitcase, we have the closet. You don't have to use it. It doesn't work for every trip. If you're going skiing, you want to fit your ski boots in there, big jackets. That's not going to work in the closet system. So we try to make a product that's versatile and able to be used in a wide variety of use cases. And we'll last it long.
One thing that we haven't hit on yet is kind of discussing manufacturing. Where is this manufactured? Do you own the facilities? Are you licensed or, kind of partnering with someone to do it? And from a production standpoint, with kind of the capacity you have in the system today, how much can you grow, and do you need to make large investments on the manufacturing side of the business?
We don't own our factories. Running a factory is a different business than running a brand and selling products. It's a mistake that many people have made, and that's not like we're playing with. The manufacturing partners that we've been working with for some of them since the beginning. We're still working with one of the same bag factories we worked with from the very start. And then our luggage manufacturer has been a wonderful partner, amazing quality luggage, and they're able to diversify their supply chain through a few different countries. So we're manufacturing now in several different jurisdictions. which is important in the new tariff environment. So that's been a big thing. But yeah, there's room to scale within our current manufacturing.
In terms of the crowdfunding round that you've done and the one that you're doing, I'm just curious if you could speak at all to how much value that's provided, in terms of also acquiring customers, right? Kind of this dual purpose. Some people says it does it in a huge way. Other people say, hey, it didn't really do that at all, but we were in it only for the money anyway. But this seems like a really interesting brand where it could have that dual purpose where you go, oh my God, this is a really awesome bag and what a great company, but also I want to buy their products. Have you seen that? Have you seen ambassadors come about because of your crowdfunding round?
I think because we have a very strong customer base already, like over 500,000 customers, we're finding it that it's like our current customers are then investing via crowdfunding. I think it's more that direction than it is because the scale that we're at, on the crowdfunding investing piece, we're getting, a few thousand people. We already have 500,000 people. So like the impact of those two things. But that said, I think that having and one of my goals for this year is to build out a specialty program for our crowdfunding equity investors to have a place where they can access, special deals, early access to limited drops, and a better like feedback loop for what products do they want to see next and all of that. And so I think that, I love crowdfunding. I love the whole notion of it. It's, my first crowdfunding campaign was on Kickstarter in January of 2013 on Kickstarter with this bicycle I made. And I think all in, we've raised like $5.5 million through crowdfunding. Only one and a bit of that is from crowdfunding equity. The rest is just product crowdfunding through Kickstarter and Indiegogo. But it's over 20,000 backers that we've had. Wow. I love the way that crowdfunding works because you can just say to the world, hey, here's my idea. Here's the thing that I want to do. Are you in? Great. And so, it's really, really special.
Some D2C brands, again, have run into the trouble with overspending, maybe finding the right algorithm on Amazon and then it going sideways and so on and so forth. Some have overraised and spent too fast. I think overall you've run the business fairly sustainably. When you think about continuing to build the business in a sustainable way into the future, how do you think about balancing kind of growth versus, pursuing growth in an aggressive way that could lead to a larger burn?
So we always talk about ASAP, as soon as possible. And I think that the phrase that I use internally at the company here is as aggressive as reasonable. Because if you go just full ham aggressive, just as like growth at all costs, like there is a line where that starts to fall off. And so that's something that we're very sensitive to. And you can measure that in a few different ways. One of them is like your marketing efficiency ratio, how much of your total revenue, as a percentage of your revenue, what's your marketing spend? And like, 30% is really a good line, a healthy line for that, for where our products line up. And I think that if you just go beyond that, the algorithms will tell you when that's not possible very quickly. And then you need to find out what's the reason that's breaking. Do you need new creative? Do you need to be telling a new story, new angle, new hook? What's the piece of that? And so it's something that I'm kind of an old school entrepreneur in that sense. I grew up blue collar and like I'm used to just, if you start a business, you're just running a business. There's not always this untapped VC funding tap. You can just go, oh, we need some more money. We're just going to pile it in. But yeah, so like we've generated over $200 million in total revenue. We've raised less than $3 million to achieve that. So I think that by maintaining the same standard of just running a business the way that a business needs to be run, being reasonable, but yeah, as aggressive as reasonable at the same time.
You look 2-3 years down the road from now, what does success look like for you?
2-3 years. I would say if we're launching 3 new hero products a year, like hero products being like special ones. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's 2, maybe it's 3 might be hard. Maybe it's 2 hero products a year. plus 4 or 5 other like products, like an updated toiletry kit or something like that. I think that for us, one of our specialties is this new product innovation piece. I've been toying with the phrase divergent design is this phrase that I've been playing with, where if you think about like the evolutionary tree, like it doesn't just go from a horse that gets a neck that's a bit longer that then become like, there's sometimes a certain trait that is something that creates a new strain. And that's where for us with luggage, like luggage never had a compressible closet built into it before. That was a new thing that we created. Then there's more room for us to continue expanding that category. And so for us, I would say success looks like we have we're consistently creating new categories, solving problems that we kind of created in the modern day age. Backpacks, when we first started, backpacks didn't really have a laptop sleeve. They just had a thin fabric thing and you just like throw a laptop in there. So you'd have to buy a laptop, or you'd have to buy a backpack, a laptop sleeve so it was actually protected, and all these add-on features. We're trying to build products that have all the things you need from the get-go. And so that's what success looks like to me, is just continually making products that make people's lives easier and continuing to scale the awareness around that.
For investors who are on the line, I'll give you the last word. What do you want them to know?
If you like products that are innovative and make a difference in people's lives, allowing them to travel easier, and you want the planet to be clean of more plastic, we're a great one-stop shop for that. And we've been around for 10 years.
If you like what you heard on the show today, you can invest $1,000 or more on Dealmaker until June 11th, 2026. And of course, if you want to learn more about why Solgaard scored a 4.5 out of 5 on the Kingscrowd proprietary rating scale, you can go to kingscrowd.com and search Solgaard. And as always, if you like what you heard on the show today, please like, subscribe, and share our podcast wherever you listen so more investors like you can find us. Thanks for tuning in, and happy investing.